Yeah,
No la encontramos.
maybe I have reflect everything.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, awesome. We are going to reconvene to open session at 6:09 p.m. And then we're going to move on to our flag salute. Please rise. Okay, 1, 2, 3, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our next item is to report of action taken in closed session, and we have no action taken, so there is no report. Our next item will be adoption of the agenda. I invite a motion.
I motion to adopt.
Okay, a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we will be moving on to adoption of the consent. I invite a motion.
I move to adopt the consent agenda. A second.
Okay. Are there any changes or discussion items on the consent agenda?
Yeah, I'd just like to, I think I would want to just have a separate vote on number 18, if not abstain. Can you do that all at once, or does it have to be separate?
18. Which one is that, Rick? I hate these rumors.
Services with Lozano Smith.
Okay. Approve the legal services agreement with Lozano Smith. So you are asking to amend the motion to change the consent agenda.
Either
and
to
remove
pull
the
it
discussion item.
separate, vote, or if I could just abstain from that one.
Choose one.
Huh?
Which would you
You
like?
can't abstain, but choose one.
You could
Oh,
vote
yeah.
no.
Then I'll just pull it.
You're
for a
gonna pull
separate
it.
vote.
Okay. So it will be discussion item 5. Okay.
That's it.
So we have a motion to adopt the consent agenda amended by Rick to approve legal services agreement with Lozano Smith LLP for 2026-2027 to discussion. Any other changes or revisions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion carries unanimously with the change as noted. Okay, we're going to be moving on to our next agenda item, which is recognitions and presentations. I would like to call up whoever will be presenting AmeriCorp's presentation.
That will be me. Good evening, President Ruiz, for the Turkey community. A pleasure to be here. I'm here to present to you how our work and our partnership with AmeriCorps went this school year. So it is a review. Thank you for approving the contract on consent already. And I'll tell you a little bit about how it went and what it's about. So for those who are not familiar, AmeriCorps is a national organization. It is the second largest in the country that does intervention, tutoring, support. It has a lot of strength, but a big part of its strength is that the people who join it really do want to give back to the community where they're from. There's a lot of training involved with those who they recruit to support, and there's a lot of research and science behind. If you give specific high dosage tutoring that is evidence-based, you're going to have great outcomes for our students, which is what. A thing to note about it is that there's a lot of research behind it. So you have big universities that have delved into the intervention program that they have, looked at the data. So it's what we call evidence-based, where it's not just like Antonio's opinion or Adriana's opinion or Eric Stover's opinion. It's also a bunch of people who looked into it to make sure that it's actually validated. So Johns Hopkins University has verified the evidence and the impact. So has the University of Chicago. The Library of Congress endorses the reading intervention program that we are using. So there's a lot of evidence behind it, is what I want to underscore to our community. So here are some comparisons that you see. So whereas in the reading core or in the math core, you're looking at the relative time spent with other programs, we can't be pulling kids out for 40 plus hours a week or 14 plus hours a week, to get that support. So when you have per month, when you have a lot more of that high dosage as evidence-based, the impact's going to be stronger. And again, that's what the data and the research has shown. This school year, we worked with 7 tutors from AmeriCorps. You can see the schools that participated. They were given the opportunity to choose to participate. So these are the ones that responded in the affirmative when we were giving out the opportunity and the options. So we have 3 of our elementary schools, along with the middle school part of IS that participated in the program. To note, there was 2 tutors basically at every elementary, but we had a third one that was shared between Prunedale and IS because they're right there on Pesante Road. So it's really easy for that tutor to, on the one hand, help out kids at Prunedale and then come over to support students at IS. So those are the 4 schools that participated, and we had 7 tutors. So a little bit more about reading core. So there's two cores. There's reading core and there's math. So with the reading, you can see that it's very much aligned with the science of reading. A lot of the work that our director, Kim McCulloch, has been focusing on. We've already said that we don't want our students to get to the 3rd grade without having strong foundational reading skills. So we are doubling down on the things that we're saying that we're committed to, and one of them is early literacy. You can see that the way the program is set up is that they would have a 20-minute session during intervention time, which can be one-on-one with a tutor, or it might be 2 students at most, but one-on-one or a pair, which is a lot of wonderful one-on-one attention that our students would receive, in this case, for reading. And here's a little bit more data. This is looking at Echo Valley, and there's a lot of data on there. The easiest part of the data when I received it from AmeriCorps is on the top right, it gives you like the cliff notes. Like for those though who love to look at the disaggregated data by grade level, hey, do you and look as closely as you want at all the different bar graphs and charts. But on the far right, it gives you a sweet little narrative, right? So at Echo Valley, we had 31 kids. And you can see some of the work there that was done with our students. And there's a bit more data that I'll share with you regarding them. So at Echo Valley, they chose to do the reading program as opposed to math. So you can choose which one you're going to do. So the schools had choices. And they chose reading, as you can see here. And some of the data that I want to point out to you is that 90% of the students, out of the 29 kids that had at least 6 scores, so to have the valid data, 90% of them demonstrated growth. 55% of them exceeded their target growth area. Now, that also tells us, right, that 45% didn't, right? So it's not like it's a slam dunk. It's the beginning stages of seeing impact, I would say. And in a minute, I'll talk a little bit about why I think we could have seen more impact from the program. The other program, as I mentioned, was math. So Echo Valley was the only one that focused specifically on reading. The other 3 sites chose to do math, and they have 2 different types. There's the early K through 3rd grade. That differs a little bit. And then you have the older grade levels from 4th all the way through 8th grade, which is why we had the shared Prunedale and IS middle school tutor that worked at both programs, because they're both in the 4th grade to 8th grade program. Here is, this is across all the other 3 sites, right? So you had 81 students total that participated. And again, the data was positive, even though I'm going to let you know, right, we didn't spend enough time with the program. We started somewhat late with getting the hires, with getting the program up and running. But once we did, we still saw 80% of students that showed improvement in foundational math skills, which again, our data is showing that it is a priority for us. We have new math curricula that we've adopted. We clearly recognize that math is an area of focus. And here it's positive to see that 81 students participating, that 80% of them demonstrated a certain level of growth. Now, mind you, if we didn't do this, those 81 students may not have gotten any additional intervention, right? So we cannot get to all the students that we have in our school districts that need intervention. So again, AmeriCorps is really laying another layer on top of the site team supports that we already have to make sure we support our kids. Again, for those who like the bar graphs and other data, you can see it here across the 4-8 program. Again, the cliff notes on the far right, because I know that's helpful, right? When you want to just kind of summarize it. And you can see that on average, students' average scores on the tests that they give through AmeriCorps improved by 20%. And I'll be honest with you, right? We're still looking to understand what their program is and what their data means. We're not experts in it yet because we're not like trained in AmeriCorps yet, right? But again, going back to when Johns Hopkins has done the back-end research on it, when the University of Chicago has, we know that it's a legitimate program that's used across the country. And with that being said, it is positive to see growth, even if I'm not an expert on their data points yet. Here is a breakdown by the school site. So you had 18 students at Prunedale who did the earlier grade level program, and you can see the percentage there of the students that demonstrated growth. And again, that's positive. 14 out of the 18 students demonstrated growth when they were participating. Here again, you have just a different view, so I won't spend too much time on that view. It's just giving you a different glimpse at it. I'm gonna summarize so this is what I did when we decided, are we gonna continue to do this, right? We were not gonna just be like, oh, like we're sort of beginning to understand the data, so we're gonna just run it back again another year. We took the time to meet with our principals to get their feedback on how it's feeling on the ground and how it's going. They themselves then also spoke to the teachers and the classified staff that support them with intervention at the site level. So as all of you are experts now, right, at the site level, it's our cost teams, right, that are doing the intervention with small groups. So the TOSAs are really critical to that work. So the principals at those sites that I mentioned spoke to their team and said, hey, what's going really well and what is a challenge with AmeriCorps right now? And this is a summary of what we got. So on the bright side, it is, again, another layer of intervention. We have so many kids that need intervention that this allows us to catch that few more, right? And it's not a few. 80 students for math is a lot. And then the other 29 for reading. So that's over 100 plus students in our small school district. They're getting another layer of support that otherwise they may not have gotten. One thing that I thought was interesting is that when they would ask the kids, or when they experienced the kids doing the tutoring, they reported that the kids were really excited to go meet with them. And we don't exactly know, except that we think that a part of it is that the tutors are also closer in age, like the recent grad college students, and like there's just like this connection with I'm gonna just say it, with the youth, that some of the younger folks like really like to connect with. So they were like motivated to, who wants to say, I want to go get math intervention or go get reading intervention? Well, some people do, but most people do not. And they wanted to go, like they enjoyed having another person that they can relate to. I already mentioned that the biggest strength I would say from the program is that it's evidence-based. Like we know that it works if done properly. And they do the training. So we don't have to go train the folks in everything. We have to train them in our ways, in our schools, but not like in the intervention model that they have. Now, to be honest, there were challenges with AmeriCorps, and you can see them here on your right-hand side. The hiring and the staffing started off late, which didn't allow us to have enough time with the impact that we wanted to have. This year, now that you've approved the contract, we're going to be able to start right away, which I'll talk about in the next step slide. So we're going to be able to have more tutors for less money than last year's contract and more time with our kids, which I really believe it'll be fair to, at the end of the year, be like, is this worth running it back a third year or not? Because it'll be, I think, more valid. There's some work to be done with aligning what they do with AmeriCorps. So it's nice that other people have said that it's great, but it's also not what we do, right? So we're also trying to balance what we do within our own intervention program with what they do. And sometimes it's not necessarily clearly immediately aligned. It's just different. And there is a bit of a challenge at some sites with physical space. So if I'm a tutor, I do need to find a room where I'm going to go meet with other students to connect with them. And that could be a challenge. They also have to keep entering data after they have the sessions with their kids, and they need a physical space, and space is at a premium. So we have to get creative to support the tutors on site. This is what the plan is for next year. And again, we only wanted the sites who said, I want to do that, because we're not going to force something on the site where they're like, no, we're good. Or we feel like it's going to be more work than not to support it. So these are the schools that are the same schools are gonna do it again. And what is different though, and this is pretty cool, the AmeriCorps received a grant, and so they're going to give us an additional third tutor at no cost to us. So that's pretty sweet. So we're going to be paying less for second year, and we're going to get more support, and we're going to start earlier, because as you can see here, sites have been getting back to them by Tuesday with like, do they want reading? Do they want math? Do they want all lower level math or higher level math at the schools? They need to decide so that they can finish their hiring by the end of July, so that we can start the programming as soon as the school year starts. And where the sites were struggling sometimes with how to like use AmeriCorps, now they have a year under their belt, which I expect it to be even smoother for this upcoming year. So that concludes the overview of AmeriCorps for this year's. What questions might you have?
Thank you, Antonio. That was very informative. So I'm going to ask the board if they have any questions or clarifications. I'm going to start with you, Adriana.
Okay.
Angela,
No questions.
Martha?
I'm excited about this program, but I was just calculating the 81 students, 80% improved, which is great. The contract was 55,000 for
Yes.
last year. So
No,
that's,
for this year's 55, for this upcoming year.
what was it? What did we?
Last year, we said no more than 100,000, right? But because we hired late and we didn't get all the stuff and we didn't spend we didn't spend the cap, right, that we set up for this year that's ending right now. So for this
Do they
upcoming,
charge us per student or how do
it's
we
by
calculate?
tutor. It's by tutor.
And how much is that?
Roughly like 8,000, but again, they have been using grants to offset the cost for it for us.
Okay.
Because it was be 7 and then like 3 more. So like 10-ish, that would have been like plus $80,000 if they were charging roughly at what the cost would be. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, you stated that that was their struggle of what, because I was wondering why we started so late.
Yeah.
Was it because
Federal grants.
federal grants?
There was a lot of turmoil with federal grants.
I remember that.
And then we
Remember that?
changed our mind about whether we were going to start or not. We put it on hold and then the federal grants contributed to that. That's what I'm remembering.
Yeah,
Thank you for that, because I was
There
trying to
was-
figure out why we started late in the game.
there was a point where the federal government were going to cut off all funding to them. But then they reinstated it later.
Okay. And then you answered the other question, on the recruitment. So they get local students from CSUMB and UC Santa Cruz or?
they don't have to just be from there. I think maybe it's beyond that. They might live here, but have been recent grads, but they also look at the current college students in the area.
Okay, thank you.
You welcome.
Adriana, any questions or clarifications?
Talking about federal cuts and everything, have you heard if they're gonna do any cuts or to the program or anything that's gonna impact it?
Amy, blanking out her last name right now, director that works with us. I had several meetings with her and she didn't even bring that up as a possibility. So I feel like she would have flagged it if it was like a
Maybe
concern.
it hasn't reached that.
Yeah, maybe not yet, but not as of now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adriana. Rick?
Yeah, I know the 7 tutors, how do you decide and why do you decide to go with K-3 reading, 4-6 math, K-6?
Yeah, it's a good question, Trustee Diaz. So the sites, with their teams, they decided what they wanted to do. So
Oh,
like
okay.
Echo Valley said, we want to do reading. And the other ones chose their level. And then AmeriCorps then would recruit the people who want to do reading versus math, and they train them to do the training.
And we have those stats like it's imperative, before 3rd grade, that they could read good.
Yeah, it's all part of like the science of reading. There's all the data tells you that algebra at the 8th grade, early reading at the 3rd grade is really critical as a couple key markers. So yes, they're very much aware of that, which is again why the math and the reading are.
And I think like last year, whenever we first started with AmeriCorps, is it better financially or in general just going with them instead of like our people, or like do we just
I would answer it 2 ways, Trustee Diaz, and then if, Dr. Tricky wants to add anything else, welcome to add. I would say that this is not eliminating what we do. This is adding like on top of what we do.
yeah.
And is it cost effective? Absolutely. When you can get, in this case, 10 tutors for $55,000, that's a really good value for money.
That's what it sounds like. Thank you for the
welcome.
presentation too.
Thank you, Rick. Is there any public comment?
Since the contract has already been voted on as part of the consent agenda, as much as you hear me say that I really don't like those kind of things, I do see with this presentation some great value. My only curiosity, and I know the board has afforded us the ability to pose questions for you guys to consider. Considering the challenges of the math intervention, especially with math fact fluency, our favorite phrase, at the Castroville site, I'm wondering why Castroville is not part of this, or whether we're piloting a different program at Castroville site. Otherwise, I actually would just from my rough napkin math, it looks like we're spending about $600 per student for tutoring. I couldn't afford that if I needed to do private tutor for 6 hours a month even. So, not too bad, the guys, especially on this new contract. Yeah, other than I do have some curiosities I'll reach out to kind of get a deeper look at, but otherwise, from my vantage point, it looks like even though we did this via consent agenda, it's a good buy for the money, and layering on more supports can only go right, especially in our underserved communities. And if we can further tailor their program to reach out, especially with our early learners or our English language groups, we can only get better. So thank you guys. I appreciate you bringing quality programs to help out our kids.
Thank you, Eric. Antonia, would you like to address Eric's question about why Castroville is not included in this?
Yeah, again, we reached out to everyone. I met with Gigi on multiple occasions, and actually one time I was having a coaching session with her, and I actually ran in there, and the toasters were there, Sammy and Karen. So then we all just talked about it. And when we looked at the column for the things that are positive about it and the challenges, they just felt that the challenges just outweigh the positive for them. And they just chose not to be really frank and honest with you. While the other people saw like, yes, we see the challenges, but we still feel like this additional layer will be helpful to us. So we gave the authentic choice for people, and they chose otherwise. And they took it seriously, because it wasn't just like, like Gigi saying no, and then she's out anyways, right? Because that's why I was pushing, like, Gigi, you're already leaving anyway, so you need to let the other people decide. So they actually scheduled a follow-up meeting with Amy. Again, I cannot remember her last name. The director, they had a separate meeting where they asked all the questions they wanted to ask, and then they still came back and said, yes, no, thank you, we're good.
Thank you, Antonio. Is there any other public comment?
I just want to just remind the public that they, like, I'm sure I think they could request to pull items from the consent if they wanted to have it.
Yeah,
Okay.
potentially ahead of time, they could send an email,
Yeah.
and we would evaluate their request. Thank you, Rick. Is there any public comment on Zoom? No? Okay, I'm going to close public comment. Is there any other comments or questions for Antonio from any board member?
Thank you.
Yes?
I would just say that, like Eric mentioned, I'm so glad that we're trying to bring more and more support for our students, as that's highly needed. And that we're looking at different ways and not just doing the same thing over and over, but we're trying to be creative of what is out there and how to better address our students' needs, and with limitations that we have, with budget restrictions, with everything that comes, but we're trying to think outside the box and not continue to do the same thing over and over and over. And I appreciate the staff into looking into all these things for us.
Thank you, Adriana. Any other board comments? No. I would just like to say, yes, I would agree with Adriana and the rest of the board that this is really an additional layer, and it's heavily subsidized. That's why it's such a good value to the district. So thank you very much for the presentation and update. Okay, next we're going to move to public comment on non-agenda matters. Is there anyone in the library who would like to make a public comment on non-agenda matters? Okay, seeing none in the library. Is there any on Zoom? No, okay, I'm going to close public comment on non-agenda matters, and then we are going to do board reports, and we're going to start with our student board member.
I don't really have much. I mean, from the student perspective, not much has been going on, but I'm just glad I was able to make it to my last meeting. Oh my God, thank you so much. Yeah, this made it, like, walking in here just made it like really real, I think. But I just want to say thank you again, everybody, for trusting me, for giving me this position and everything that came with it. I'm so grateful, and hopefully I can come back sooner than later and maybe just at another seat at this table.
Yes, we'd love to see you
Yeah,
again.
thank you.
Thank you, Adriana. Okay. Angela, do you have a board report?
I have nothing personal wise, but I just want to say, use my board report to say, great job this year. You really raised the bar, and you will be missed. Like I said, it was just fun to see you grow, just how much you've taken this position. And when you say, what popped in my head is about coming back soon. When you turn 18, you can run for a board seat. That's maybe something you want to put in your mind when you get back. Make a run.
Thank you, Angelo.
That's
Martha, do you have-
exactly what I was gonna say, Angela. It's like, we need those student voices and you could definitely make a difference like you did. You made a huge impact. You opened the eyes for us too, and a lot of those student voice decisions, especially the one that stood out to me was the inclusiveness for Central Bay to be part of the things that you brought to the table. I thought that was so cool because you always were very, open-minded on making sure everybody was included. And so, but you were amazing and you're going to be so missed. And I know you have some great things ahead of you. So continue.
Thank you, Martha. Adriana?
Same, thank you. Like you brought a lot of equity in the student voices. And I think that that's something that very few people actually pay attention to. And I look forward to everything you're gonna do. And definitely we need younger individuals to run the school district board, because who better than someone who's recently lived through the experience to understand what they need and what they want. And also you all are our future leaders. You all should be taking over this board and all the boards and everything. And have fun, enjoy, and learned a lot and experienced things. And don't forget about your community. I know you won't, but also take up an opportunity to explore the world. The world is pretty big. Learn a lot and just try things and never be afraid of trying and stepping out of a comfort zone. And if you ever need anything, reach out.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Adriana. Rick?
Yeah, just thank you for being the leader, for being an advocate for the students, their voice, getting all the information. You make us all proud, so definitely come back. Like everyone else said, yeah, we definitely need youth leaders. I said, yeah, but very good job. We're very proud of you. Yeah, that's it. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Yeah, your legacy is we're gonna have really high expectations of our next student. Yeah, we really are. We're going to let them lead the way and inform us about what the student voice is, which I think was missing a little bit from the board. So we really do appreciate that. You're an amazing young woman and I expect great things. We ran into Brisma at the graduation ceremony and she was a previous board member. So we hope we're going to run into you and you're going to tell us about your phenomenal freshman year and all the great things you're up to. So thank you for being an amazing board member.
Take your name with you.
I was gonna ask if I could take
Yes,
that.
it's yours. Nobody
Even if
else.
they don't
can
let
use
you take
so
it.
you can go ahead. Yeah, we'll let you take it. It's okay.
It's your memory.
Okay, thank you. So that closes board reports and we're going to move on to our superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so as Brianna is bringing this up and then just going to the second page, I'll share that our very own Dr. Brianna Garn recently hosted a technology collaborative last week, bringing together teachers, librarians, communications staff, family engagement specialists, TOSAs, and others, all thinking and exploring about how technology can be used to support student success across our district. So thank you, Brianna, for doing that. And now we're going to go on to a few different updates.
So wonderful.
Okay, so update number one. Our very own Araceli Mendez is moving on from being the principal of Prunedale Elementary to become the assistant principal over at Central Bay and Independent Study. So Araceli has been a valued member of our team since July 2022. She began her leadership journey as assistant principal at Elkhorn Elementary before coming over to the principal of Prunedale Elementary in July 2023. And Araceli is looking forward to this new chapter in her journey and learning all about another segment of our educational educational population right here in North County. Next slide, please. So next update here is welcome to our new Castroville Elementary principal, Deanna Freiberger. Now, Deanna Freiberger joins us with more than 21 years of experience in education. Most recently, she served as assistant principal at Marina Vista Elementary School. She's a national board certified teacher and holds a master's degree in curriculum and instruction. She's passionate about supporting English learners and advancing inclusion, equity, and early literacy. Deanna lives in Monterey County with her husband and their 2 sons, Calvin and Oliver. So please, when you see Deanna around, please welcome her. She's been over to Castroville quite a few times. She's met with myself. She's met with Gigi. She's met with other staff. And so she's really putting in the work actually before she's even been hired. Okay, so dedicated for sure. And next slide, please. Okay, so next welcome goes out to our new Prunedale Elementary principal, Marianne Vasquez. So Marianne is originally from Southern California. She moved to Santa Cruz to earn her teaching credential and fell in love with the Central Coast. She holds a master's degree from Grand Canyon University and brings 3 decades of dedicated educational experience to her new role. Before joining Prunedale, she spent 25 years as an educator and instructional coach in the Live Oak School District, followed by 5 years as an administrator in neighboring Pajaro Valley Unified School District. So again, if you see Marianne Vasquez around, please welcome her to the team.
Wonderful.
Next slide, please. Okay, the next welcome goes to our new coordinator of behavior interventions and supports. And before I talk about Lori, I just want to talk about this position a little bit. Okay, so this position, behavior interventions and supports, is all around supporting and coaching teachers in the classrooms on PBIS, positive behavior interventions and supports. Okay, so as a teacher in the classroom, yes, you're teaching your content area. You're also, though, setting the expectations for student behavior and the supports for student behavior so that your students can actually learn in class. Now, this is something which we provide support to teachers on, and it will be Lori who will be providing that support. She will also be conducting walkthroughs and completing what is known as the Tiered Fidelity Index on the PBIS, which we were learning a little bit about just this afternoon, and provide behavioral training and support to the district, as well as coordinating our 504 plans, supporting with the SSTs, students study teams, and supporting our team on the all-payer fee schedule. Services would also be billable, which is also an advantage to the school district as well. Now, we've talked about the position a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about Lori. So Lori Lever holds a BA in psychology and master's in counseling and brings experience as a school counselor, 504 coordinator, PBIS program specialist, and behavior coach. Lori is committed to supporting student success through inclusive practices and strong systems of support. She lives in Capitola with her husband, Jesse, and their 2 schnauzers, Diego and Safari. So please, when you see Lori around, please, a big North County welcome. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is our staff spotlight for today. And
They are.
it is with mixed emotions here, which we have this particular staff spotlight. So in our audience today, we have both Jahira Molina and Kelly Bishop. And yay! Jahira and Kelly are our district psychologist specialists. And Jahira has been in the district for 8 years. Kelly has been in the district for 10 years, and they've demonstrated outstanding leadership in advancing special education services and supports throughout our county. There are many accomplishments here. I see that Alison has just given them some violence. Thank you, Alison. Among their many accomplishments are strengthening and improving our IEP processes, supporting the development and implementation of improvement plans related to significant disproportionality, providing professional development for staff in areas such as crisis intervention, positive behavior interventions and supports, social emotional learning, and other key initiatives. Enhancing family and community engagement through the development and coordination of the annual neurodiversity event. Anybody who went to those events can attest to they're pretty fantastic. Not only do they have small horses, okay, they also have bubble machines and all sorts of things for neurodiverse kids. And everybody. In fact, they're a lot of fun, and kids and families and parents love them. Leading the development and implementation of our wonderful Captain demonstration slide. Okay, and huge hats off to that, because I do believe that it is a model program which we have. So thank you so much. Securing and managing the workability grant and expanding opportunities for students through the flexible modified diploma pathway for students with disabilities, which is also going to be starting here at the high school next year. And advancing numerous additional initiatives that support student success and inclusive practices. So the two of them are actually going off to the SELPA at the county. And if we could all just please give them a round of applause.
Sure. Matt, we're gonna want to go ahead and take a picture, but we'll do
Okay.
it after that.
What do you want to do now?
Sure, okay, let's do it now.
Let's do it now.
Okay.
So we're going to take a picture. Come on up.
Yes, because how many times do people show up for the spotlight? They don't, so let's. We gotta take a picture someday. We got Adriana.
Okay, come on up. You're going to come over here at the horseshoe.
Yeah.
Right, the horseshoe.
Right ahead.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay, we have actually one more slide. And so who's this? Who's this person?
It's a great picture.
Who's that person?
She looks
Okay. This is
Oh,
a special thank you to our student board member, Adriana Manafatoa. And I'm going to echo a few things which the board members have already said. Okay, so raising the bar for student board members,
Mhm.
advocating for what you want and what you see and what others need. Okay, and what you see is the need, which is exactly what you should be doing, right? And doing so in a way which is also respectful and fearless. All right, and you have many good things to come. All right. And we're very happy to have provided this opportunity for you. And we're very happy that you've taken it with both hands. All right. So well done, Adriana.
Very well done.
Yes, yes.
And we have some things for you.
Two.
Yeah.
Well, she'll love.
Let's go right in the middle. Oh. The least we could do, the least we could do.
You can hold out, you go. Yeah.
That's enough photo ops for one night, huh? Thank you, Matt, for that Wonderful board report, or I'm sorry, superintendent report. Okay, next we're going to be moving on to agenda item O, which is CSCA Chapter 6 Representative Report. Is there anyone here? Anyone on Zoom? Oh, okay, we will be moving on to NMCFT Teachers Federation Report. Is there anyone here? Anyone on Zoom? No, okay, we're gonna be moving on for our first discussion, action, and or information item, which is to adopt resolution number 2025-2647 to authorize general obligation bond election of North Monterey County Unified School District. We'll be presenting on that.
So I'm
Thank you.
gonna get us started on
Okay,
this.
great.
And then after I've said a few introductory words, I'm going to hand over to our consultant Robin, who you have online there, and she may also hand over to a gentleman named Rob as well. Okay, so in terms of our facilities bond, okay, so this has been a journey which we've been on, and I just want to go through the steps, and I do want to let everybody know we've been doing this the right way. Okay, so going through the steps, first of all, we did our facilities master plan. Okay, within our facilities master plan, we saw the need. After we saw the need, we saw the costs. The cost of that need was 200 million. Okay, it did not take much to work out we can't afford that without a bond. So have we looked at other ways to fund things? Absolutely. Are we looking at putting in enough money for a preventative maintenance? Absolutely. Do we still need a bond? Absolutely, we do. So the next step after that was getting community input on the priorities. This was essentially visiting each and every school and then saying to the community, look, hey, we visited all of these. How do you see the priorities? Rate them. Okay. We then got all of that information from the community, and that turned into what you see here in this resolution. So when you think to yourself, where did those priorities from the resolution come from? They came from the community tours. They came from the community. When the community said, these are what we think should be the priorities for a bond. We did 2 weeks ago when we came together as a board, we did look at a draft resolution. Rob here did go through the resolution, and everything on that resolution has been done with all the needed accountability. We've checked all the boxes which we have needed to check. I would also say to both the board and the public, if you have questions about the bond, the place to go for those frequently asked questions is to the website. When you go to our website and you click underneath facilities, there will be something which says FAQs for a bond. You click on that, there's a bunch of frequently asked questions. That is the place to go. Okay, so that's essentially the context, and that brings us to having this final resolution, which is in front of the board to vote on today. Now, before we go through the actual vote, I am actually now going to hand over to Robin, who's going to give us some context and her recommendation. So I'm going to hand over to Robin now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Turkey. Can you all confirm that you can hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Okay, super. Thanks for having me. And apologies that I'm not there in person this evening. But what I'd like to share with you, a couple of weeks ago when Rob Anslow, your bond counsel, reviewed the draft resolution, one of the questions that came from the board was asking some information about the June 2nd election and how measures throughout the state of California fared. So just to give you, without doing a super deep dive, but just to give you some points about that. Throughout California, there were 88 measures on the June 2nd ballot affecting local taxes, fees, or charges. Of those 88 measures, 41 of them were school measures, 26 of them were school bond measures, seeking a total of $3 billion in school construction bond financing. Other examples of other measures on the ballot would be were parcel tax measures, sales tax for cities or counties, parcel tax for a community service district or library or fire protection districts, or special taxes for streets, etc. So a broad sampling of measures were on the ballot in June. Though not all counties have certified the election results, it looks as though 15 bond measures will pass, while 11 measures did not gain the 55% support to pass. And while we do not know the story of all of those bond measures that did not reach that 55% threshold, we do know the following. What we do know is that the measures that did not pass were mostly in conservative communities. Polling for those measures or for those districts were completed last fall in that August, September, October timing before the Iran war and high gas prices and sort of the change of the economy that we've been experiencing this past spring. We also know that while voter turnout was higher statewide for this primary election, turnout was lower in some of those lower than expected in some of those conservative communities. So, were voters overwhelmed by the number of governor candidates? Did the state of our economy affect voters' overall interest in participating in voting? All of those things could be considered factors. Another question that was asked of us was to explore, see what we could find out about what other local tax revenue measures are we expecting to see in your area. So what we know is that the push for November revenue measures comes right on the heels of this tough primary election for local tax measures. We heard today that there it's not confirmed yet, a statewide housing bond on the November ballot. We'll keep you posted on that as we learn more. We do know that Salinas is going to has put a percent sales tax extension on the ballot for November. And another in consideration is a Monterey Salinas transit measure, a countywide sales tax. This sales tax expires in 2030, and there's looks like there's potentially trying to increase the tax from 1/8 cent to 1/4 cent. We're not sure how far they are along in this process, and to be honest, 2028 would be a better year for them as far as turnout is concerned, because it will be higher turnout in 2028. In addition to your district considering the bond election, we know that Pajaro Valley, which overlaps Santa Cruz and Monterey County, voted this week to place a measure on the November ballot. Carmel Unified is going to place a measure or has placed a measure on the ballot. Pacific Grove Unified School District has placed a parcel tax measure on the ballot. And then further south, Paso Robles Joint USD, which overlaps San Luis Obispo and the southern edge of Monterey County, has placed a bond on the ballot. Our intel tells us that the community service districts are staying out of the tax fight this fall. These local independent special districts typically need 2/3 support to pass a revenue measure. And I think that feeling is that that's a pretty uphill battle right now locally. So finally, do we believe this is the right time for North Monterey County USD to move forward with a $40 million bond measure? Your consultant team is going to encourage you to move forward. Yes, our answer to that is yes. The district, as Dr. Trickey has explained, has done a lot of work, parent work over the past several months to bring this process forward in the correct way, working with the community, and your community has shown up. Your community has shown up at both district-wide meetings in that library there. I've attended a couple of them, as well as those school site visits in May. When everything's so busy, people made time to come and learn more about the process and how they can make our schools better, make your schools better. So your community supporting you moving forward is a huge impact to the process overall. And while we cannot predict where the economy will be in the fall, the ongoing talks of ending the war in Iran have helped with gas prices, which is obviously the leading conversation regarding the economy. Who's to say where we will be in the next 3 or 4 months? But you have the opportunity to focus your residents and your community on the local needs and have people be able to invest in where they can make a change, right, locally versus that state or national level. So again, reiterating my initial answer to the question, is it the right time? Yes, it is, and we would encourage you to do so, and trust that your community is going to step up and lead the charge. So that's all I have. And if you have questions for me, and then Mr. Anslow is also here to discuss next steps regarding voting, moving forward.
Thank you. We're gonna go to the next steps first, or
I bel-
opportunity questions or clarification?
I believe that if Rob is online, Rob, could you quickly just go through if the board decides to place the ballot on the measure, just some brief do's and don'ts for board members in terms of the bond would be useful.
Certainly. Matt, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, superintendent, members of staff, and the public. My name is Robert Anslow. I'm a partner with Atkinson Andelson. I was with you a couple weeks ago. What you have before you is essentially the same resolution that we presented to you a couple weeks ago. Happy to answer any questions on the resolution form. You should also have two other handouts that we provided to the board. One is a discussion relative to what actions members of the board, members of staff, and district employees can take if the board decides to move forward with the adoption of the resolution and calling the election. Also, we have provided today a kind of back and front and back page of do's and don'ts. And there are a number of things that if the resolution is adopted, that the board, staff, and employees can and cannot do. What is required under state law is that district resources now move to what's called a neutral informational mode. In other words, you can inform the public about the bond measure, what it involves, what its costs would be, what its effects would be. What cannot happen is the public's money cannot be used to tell the public how to vote. And you'll see that under the first bullet on the back page. District board, staff, employees, while on district time or using district resources, cannot urge a partisan position, i.e. a yes or a no on the bond measure. They can going back to what I just said, they can step into the neutral informational mode. You can provide the FAQ as was previously referenced. You can share the entire text of the resolution. We in fact encourage you to do that. And to a certain extent, you can provide commonly asked questions. We would urge caution in terms of engaging in dialogue with people because you may run into a situation, particularly in social media, where there may be advocates or opponents of the measure, and putting those on a district website or a social media platform is generally not conducive. There will be a campaign committee probably forming, and members of the board, staff, and employees can join that campaign committee on their own time using their own resources. So again, we provided you the quick do's and don'ts sheet. We provided you the more extensive letter, and I'm here to try and answer any questions you might have about the resolution or any of those items.
Thank you, Rob. Okay, I'm going to start with our student member. Do you have any questions or clarifications? No? Okay. Angela, do you have any questions?
No questions.
I just wanted to know, for the bond oversight committee, what's the timeline that it has to be developed?
Okay, so under state law, the bond measure is being called under what's called Proposition 39. It was passed by the state voters in 2000. Your Citizens Oversight Committee, if the measure passes, if the measure doesn't pass, it becomes moot. If the measure passes, Then at some point thereafter, you will get what's called the certification of the election results. That'll come from the Registrar of Voters office. At some point in time, there is no fixed specific date for that. The board will what's called certify the election results, and that has to be done before the first series of bonds are issued. Sometimes that can occur fairly quickly. More likely is if the measure passes, you'll get certification in early December, and you'd probably certify the election results in, let's say, January, February of 2027. From that point forward, and by the way, we will be working with staff in terms of setting up the Citizens Oversight Committee. You have 60 days after you certify the election results to appoint the initial members of the Citizens Oversight Committee. From there, when the committee meets is really kind of up to the members, but we have noted that meeting quarterly is very typical of those types of Citizens Oversight Committees. I hope that answers your question.
It does. Thank you.
Adriana, do you have
No
any
questions.
Okay. Rick, do you have any questions or clarifications?
Yeah, I don't know if it's for him or her, but how many voters are in our borders of our district? Because the other lady.
I am,
Oh,
no, hi, Rick. I'm looking that up right now to give you an exact number.
appreciate it.
Sure.
And then the follow-up would be how many voted this last June?
Okay.
And were you
There
aware?
are,
Oh, okay, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, there are 15,000, as of today, there are 15,828 voters in the district. And of those, hang on a second. I'll have to get back to you on that, Rick.
Oh, thank you. And then were you aware of the County of Monterey supervisors that might have a tax increase going to November, maybe TOT?
I am not. That did not come up in our search. But we can look into that as well.
Yeah, I want to say with like 98% certainty that it's a transient occupancy tax. And then also the North County Rec and Park District is pursuing initiative also.
Okay.
But I think that's it for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, I'm going to open it up for public comment. I'm going to start with you, Eric, since I have you right here.
I get to put on my semi-official hat tonight. In fact, I filled out the comment card specifically so that I'm on the record.
Yes.
So good evening, guys. On behalf of at least the social media side of Voices for Change, we've been on this journey with you guys. I've personally attended every one of our school site surveys, walked our grounds, seen the issues firsthand, as well as members of my cohort that have been with me along this way. It's no secret that our school facilities need this. And there is no amount of re-engineering the budget, playing with the numbers that's going to put enough money into our deferred maintenance to even touch what we see at even one of our school sites. The trying to rely on just that kind of budget, deferred maintenance budget, just isn't going to work. So as a member of your community and as a voice that has been with you guys for several years now, I have to commend you, one, on the level of transparency that you've shown in this. Compared to previous bond measures that this board has pursued, I could not ask for more transparency and more cooperation as a member of the public, but also as somebody who is speaking on behalf of a fair number of your constituents or members of your community. Without this bond, we will not be able to see meaningful change on the facility side. We can continue to bring every program to bear. We can approve even more AmeriCorps to come in and give our students the fighting chance. But classrooms that are safe for our students to be in is ground level. It's the first step in making sure that our kids can sit down and try to learn at our schools. So I would urge the members of this board to listen to your consultants, listen to the people out here that have been with you along this journey in saying, please vote to approve this. And we'll be with you as far as you'll let us to help get this bond over that 55% so that we can go back to trying to do some good work and heal some of the damage that's been done in our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Is there any other public comment?
I'd like to echo Eric's sentiments. For those of you who didn't get to go on the tours, it was eye-opening. I went home and apologized to my grandson because he used to come home from school, get off the bus, run into the bathroom, and sometimes not make it. Why didn't you go to the bathroom at school? They're yucky. And I thought, oh, you're being lazy, you want to play, whatever. I have to tell you, in going in there, and the maintenance people are doing a fantastic job. I walked in the door, I couldn't get any further because I felt the bile rise in my throat because it was so bad, the smell of years of kids, especially little boys, hitting the asphalt instead of the toilet, and no amount of Fabuloso could cover that stench. The kids were amazing that went on the tours with us and talking with them. They were proud of their school, of being in the school. They loved their teachers, but they were embarrassed when outsiders came in. It was heartbreaking to hear that they really were embarrassed at how the schools looked. So our group, Voices for Change, we will start campaigning as soon as we get you guys vote this in. And with legal assistance, we'll see what are the do's and don'ts, but we ask that the community contact us and we'll start forming committees right out the door. So I hope that you all will support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Is there any other public comment in the library? No. Is there any public comment on Zoom? Oh, okay. Sure. Go ahead, Rob. Thank you, Brianna. Rob, did you mean to have your hand raised?
I can see him.
No? Okay. All right, so we'll start back with the board members. If there's any final comments, start with you, Adriana.
Yeah, I wanted to make a comment. I guess I can kind of understand from my point of view that it's kind of like this is a matter that's kind of bigger than me because I mean it's not coming out of my pocket or anything. But I personally think the longer that this is kind of like at a standstill and that the ball doesn't get rolling, the longer students have to sit and learn in conditions that they're in currently. So I just urge you guys to keep that in mind as you're voting.
Thank you, Adriana. Angela?
Yeah, I guess I'll just make my official statement. From trustee area 3, I will be voting yes on this, but my vote of yes is not in way of support nor against this bond. Speaking to constituents in my area, they have asked multiple times if the board would trust our citizens to have the right and opportunity to vote on something like this that would help. And they wanted the voice. And I can always stand behind that when the majority of people are asking, please give us such opportunity to have the voice. So that's where I want to make my stance. I go, my vote is to give the voice to the people.
Thank you, Martha. Obviously, I've been around, it's probably the third bond now, and I really appreciate the testimonies, you know, and I really appreciate the feedback I've gotten with the community. And the campaign trail is so important in transparency and educating. So I do agree, Matt, that we've done it right. And we got to continue that campaign. And there are community organizations that I've already spoken to that are interested in having a meeting because it's all about educating them and them understanding what they're going to be voting on. And if we do it, if we continue to do it right, I feel strongly that the community will support, especially when they hear it from the student. And I would like to see something different this year. If we go out and do this campaign trail, that we take students with us. Because when you hear directly from them, because these facilities are so old, it's bound to happen, but there's some serious things that really need to change. And we can't do that without a bond. So I'm looking forward to seeing this move forward, but I'm also wanting to make sure that we continue with the strategic plan to communicate with various groups. And Angelo, you know, I know that's your district, but I have a lot of people that live in that area that have come to me really wanting to understand it, want a meeting, want to know what's about so they can vote accordingly. And I said, you know, it can happen because we have a lot of pockets in this area, the different groups that we can reach out to outside of our district. And I think that's what we need to focus on the next steps. So I think it's doable, especially when we have a group that's willing to support us. And I know there's many others that I've been talking to. And it just takes a team, it takes a village. We're a small community, but if we come together, we're mighty. We can make it happen. So I believe that.
Thank you, Martha. Adriana?
Like I continue to say, and I will continue to say, our children are our future. And when we are depriving them from having what they need to be able to be those leaders in the future, we're not doing anything in any service for ourselves or for anyone. And holding grudges, and yes, things have happened, and yes, has been mistrust, and yes, there has been stuff that happened. But why would our kids pay the consequences for our errors as adults and our issues? And if we're teaching them how to be compassionate, caring, equitable, all these things, why are we not also role modeling it for them and also leading the way for them to actually succeed and be able to give them everything that they need? So I definitely continue to say, let's move on. Let's move on and do what's right, and do what's right for our children, and do what's right for our staff, and do what's right for our community. We cannot do this alone. It takes all of us to be able to provide what our future needs, because our future is also for us, not just for them, it's for us. They will be our next professionals. They will be our next teachers, our next superintendents, our next attorneys, doctors, everything that we will rely as adults or on them. So let's do what's right for our students, and let's do what's right for our community, and let's figure out how to continue to move forward and improve, and yes, hold each other accountable for everything.
Thank you, Adriana. Rick?
Yeah, I definitely, I, you know, talked to a lot of people as well and see, you know, a lot of comments and, you know, there's 15,000 voters, you know, and not just, you know, a group of people, which is a fantastic group. I would go for it personally in 2 years on a presidential year. I don't think anything's on our list, or maybe not a lot at least, are going to hinder education. You know, there's projects we haven't finished that take 1,000 years. We're, you know, exploring spending 10 million on a property. The other tax initiatives that are going on, they're not passing, and don't want to send something and it not pass again. So, I mean, just as many comments and as many people out of 15,000 voters, I'm not convinced that this will be successful. So I'm not going to support it.
Thank you, Rick. My stance is that our kids absolutely deserve to be in a safe and renovated environment. We've failed them for too long, and we've got to try. Let the voters decide. Let the voters of this community decide what they want and if it's the right time and if they're open to it. I think our district, led by Matt, has taken the necessary steps to earn people's trust. We have certainly had some hiccups when it has come to project execution, but that doesn't mean that we haven't overall been successful and that the students don't deserve the opportunity to have safe environments that will only help learning and help with pride and social emotional learning that is so critical. So that's my stance. I believe in voices for change. I believe in the voice of the community, and I believe in letting the voters decide. And I absolutely believe that our students deserve upgraded, maintained facilities, and we can't get there without a bond. And this bond will be a drop in the bucket. We're still going to need more, but we've got to try and we've got to start somewhere. A journey of 1,000 steps start with one step, and the first step is saying, yes, let's put it on the ballot and let voters decide. Okay, so I invite a motion to approve and
I move
adopt.
to approve and adopt
Yes.
this resolution.
Thank you.
And
A
I
second.
second.
Okay, we're going to do a roll call vote. We're going to start with our preferential vote.
Aye.
Okay. Angelo?
Aye.
Okay. Martha?
Aye.
Okay. Adriana?
Aye.
Rick?
Nay.
Okay, so we have 4 yeses, 1 no, and 1 preferential, which is our most important vote. So motion carries. Yay. Okay, next. Oh, actually, can we get a score check on the USA game right now? Can somebody do a score check for me?
21 minutes in.
21 minutes in?
Yeah,
And 0-0 or
let's check.
It's 1-1.
Oh my gosh, very serious.
spicy? This is exciting. Okay. Our next agenda item is approve and adopt the NMCUSD 26-27 local control accountability plan. Welcome back, Antonio.
Clearly the perfect time for me to present anything. There you go. We're watching the World Cup also. So I am back at the last regularly scheduled board meeting. I presented our LCAP. We also then, thanks to you, opened up appropriately a public hearing on Monday for a special board meeting. At that board meeting, we didn't receive any direct feedback then, but I did receive a couple of emails. One email was from one of our colleagues committee members was here. And so there was good feedback given on how we need to keep our eyes on the prize when it comes to college career readiness, and not just depend on CCGI on the platform for how we're going to be engaging with students. It's a point really well taken. So in other words, how are we going to be supporting the collaboration of our counselors to more engage with our students and not just count on a technology platform to do the work? So I think it underscores that we need to continue to work in that direction, not to fundamentally change the LCAP, but the point was well taken. And then the other piece that we got is that we got from another community member who regularly provides us good feedback, caught some corrections that was needed on the draft LCAP, which I did make. That was uploaded to the final one that you see today. So again, that's why we have multiple eyes on documents and we get feedback. So those 2 corrections were made. But with that being said, I come back to you now for the approval of the LCAP now that we presented it at the previously regularly scheduled meeting.
Thank you, Antonio. And thank you, David, for those corrections.
Thank you, David, for those corrections. Correct.
Wonderful. So we're going to move on to any questions or clarifications. And we're going to start with you, Adriana.
No question.
Angelo?
No, you answered the questions perfectly last time. Thank you.
Thank you, Angelo.
No question.
Okay. Adriana?
No.
Rick?
No, thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to open it up to public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? Okay.
Antonio, thanks for the shout out. No, to To echo my feedback, one, thank you, Dave. I appreciate you catching those. But also, I was the feedback about CCGI.
Thank you.
I spoke with a number of students over my time of hanging out every day waiting for my son, as well as spoke to a lot of his peers regarding college and career readiness. And my biggest caution with technology platforms to do the work for us, like CCGI, is that it takes away the human factor. Time and again, in almost every graduation speech, every student shout out that I've heard, they're always talking about the college and career readiness personnel that can explain to them what they need to go to their parents to fill out a FAFSA form, or that it took sitting down with another person who may have gone to school at a university they're looking at to really show them that this is not only something that you should be doing, but it is possible for you as, say, a first generation student. I can't underscore enough how important it is to maintain that human factor, even when, yes, it is difficult to get a budget through. And yes, we've slimmed down that department numerous times. But we can't forget that the computer can only take us so far. AI can only get us so far. Gemini still hallucinates. So removing the human factor for kids that no matter how old they get, just is really shooting ourselves in the foot when it comes to getting even kids like mine off to school. So thank you, and I appreciate your continued support. And I'm looking forward to these LCAP goals, looking forward to the reports on them, because it's really this year's LCAP meetings. I didn't get to go, so I'm already wearing too many hats. But I can't believe, I mean, what was it, a double or triple the numbers that we had in years past? That is amazing. 400%. Yeah, thank you. 400% increase. That shows you how much of the community is now paying attention and wants to be on this journey with you guys. So thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Any other public comment?
Good evening, board and superintendent. My name is Jarek Griffey, for all those that don't know me. I'm a community member, and I was reading over your guys' LCAP report, and I haven't been able to attend any of the meetings. I've been super busy, but now I got some time, so I've been kind of going through the stuff. And one thing that kind of stood out to me was reading in goal number 4.4, which is increased joy at work. I noticed a big decrease specifically with the high school. And it kind of just, it was a glaring, you went from 100% to 10% in caring adult relationships, 60% to 10% in staff working environment, and 60% to 9% in school safety for staff. That's a dramatic shift, right? And the only thing, and that's only within a couple of years, and the only thing that I know that's changed over there is culture and the new leadership that's there. I'm not sure how these numbers are calculated. I was kind of last minute looking through these things, but I just wanted to point that out, and I just hope the board and everybody around here starts focusing on the staff and increasing that safety and that working environment for them, so they want to stay in, staff retention, keeping teachers here, keeping these long standing even classified employees that have been here for years, right? They've had these relationships with their students and their families and stuff. So keeping that core relationship with your students and your staff is going to be key. And just hope you guys can start focusing in on that part. Thanks.
Thank you for your public comment. Is there any other public comment in the room? No? How about on Zoom? No? Okay. I am going to invite a motion to approve North Monterey County Unified School District's local. Okay, thank you. Was there a second?
I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion, final comments? No?
I'd just say
Yeah.
that it was, I know there was a lot of communication with not only the community, but with the students about these LCAP goals. So I'm happy to support it. And I do want to highlight the college and career focus, how important that is, just because like just getting done with senior year, like I could have ran my essays through ChatGPT 100 times, but it wouldn't have been good. Like there's no substance to them. Like it's the human connection. It's this sitting down and being able to just like bringing the humanity to these essays, to your applications, to these experiences that makes it what it is. So I think that's really important. Thank you for bringing that up and making it a point.
Excellent point, Adriana. Thank you. We need the humanity. Angelo? Martha?
No, thank you. But because you brought that up, I do want to ask you personally, because we didn't have that college department, right, to help with scholarships and FAFSA. Do you know, and because you're a senior and you worked with all your colleagues, was that challenging for the students? Did you feel like there was some gaps there?
I'd say, I mean, at least from my perspective, I think there is help. You just had to go find it. Like it was, well, actually the counselors they were very strong about it when they first started, like when the first year first started. But then it's like they have so many kids and it's like you don't want to be too pushy because you know that they have a lot on their plate already. But there was a lot of different resources. Like I would go up to like different teachers of mine that were willing to look over my essays or just look over my applications. I was really nitpicky about it, so I had like a million people look over them. But I think the help was there. You just had to go. You kind of had to like seek it out. But I think bringing this to attention would have to be like less the student coming to it and more like the help coming to that. I think that's why it's important.
Thank you.
Anything else with that? Yes. Okay. Adriana?
Yeah, thank you. And I'm so glad that there's participation, and I'm hoping that like every other thing that we don't just have a document laying around, but we truly take a look at stuff, truly see it on a daily basis. And then when we see trends, we start to intervene. We don't just wait and we don't just then later on talk about it. So I'm hoping that we can continue to look at what's happening and where do we need to continue to pay attention and improve. And again, think outside the box and figure out what's missing, figure out what's working, what's not working, and also have a little bit of grace with each other that we need to try things, that we cannot expect change from one day to another, but we have to continue to push forward and try things and move forward. And so I'm hoping that we'll continue with revising and getting input from all stakeholders of what's working and what's not working.
Thank you, Adriana. Rick?
Just thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the public comments. You guys both bring up great points. And definitely communicate to the board any issues or concerns.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, we're gonna move to vote and we're gonna start with our preferential vote.
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. And Stephanie just gave me an update. It's 2-1 now, so I'm assuming USA is ahead 2-1. Okay. And we're gonna move on to our next item. Thank you, Antonio. Really appreciate it. Are you our next item? Okay.
I am. It's between me and the USA football team.
Okay. A school district's local indicators self-reflection.
Yeah, so I come to you again, and this is for requesting your motion to approve our local indicator self-reflection. So this document there's a lot of things that are required and a lot of compliance, right? This lies between a connection between the California dashboard that you had a presentation on right mid-year for last year. It's just kind of like lag data, and then also with our LCAP, where we're assessing all the time. We're looking at data to see how we're doing. We're getting input. So so I'll just read from my script a little bit, right? So the dashboard includes both state and local indicators to measure district progress on priorities in our LCAP. And local indicators are, so the broad state ones are things like your CAP scores, chronic absenteeism, attendance rate, right? Those are things that we don't have to report to, or what we do, but like it's available like publicly, right? But then we have other local indicators that we have to more self-analyze and self-report that isn't part of, say, a CAST like assessment or something like that. So in this case, some of the local indicators are things like basic services. Are we implementing our standards? Or how are we engaging with parent and family engagement? school climate, and students' access to a broad course of study, which is kind of like on topic as we were talking earlier, with kids being prepared for college. So it's a requirement from California that we annually compete a self-reflection tool, which we use from the CDE to look at our local indicators, and the staff in our school district have completed the required self-reflection, which is the attachment that you see. And we bring it forward for your approval. The things that I want to highlight in that document, so I know everyone's read it, but to give some of the highlights, is that the things that are accomplishments that we reflected on from that self-reflection tool is the new instructional materials, again, that were recently adopted, thanks to your support. It's going to allow our kids to have appropriate curricula, right, for supporting them with preparation for college. We've also recently had English language development curricula. We've expanded our family and engagement stakeholder participation in the LCAP process, as we mentioned earlier. And we have really increased our professional learning when it comes to, for example, curriculum instruction and assessment days, along with implementation of PBIS. The areas that are still needed to get better at and to be stronger is specifically supporting our multilingual learners and our students with disabilities. Those remain areas of growth in our self-reflection. So with that, I ask for your approval of our self-reflection.
Thank you, Antonio. Adriana, we'll start with you. Do you have any questions or clarifications?
No question.
Angela?
No.
Martha? Adriana? No. Rick?
No. Thank you.
Okay, next we're going to open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to Zoom. Is there any public comment on Zoom? Okay, we're going to close public comment. And at this time, I invite a motion
So moved.
to approve. Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, I'm going to open it up for discussion and any final comments.
No.
Adriana, I'll start with you. Angela?
Okay.
Martha? Adriana? Rick?
And just thank you for all the hard work from the staff and all that, and anyone that had input and stuff.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, we're going to start with our preferential vote. How do you?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No, motion carries unanimously. And I have a correction. Turkey is up 2-1. Okay.
Temporarily.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll be moving on to our next agenda item, which is to approve
Just another correction.
Yeah.
It's actually Turkey A.
Turkey, eh?
Turkey A. That's how they pronounce it. Yeah, yeah. There you go.
I do appreciate that.
Okay.
I was wanting the board to take action against our turkey for that turkey score.
So we're going to invite Brenda up to review the budget with us. We have a motion before, or an action item before us to approve the budget. How exciting. My goodness, that sounds exciting. Hi, Brenda.
Good evening, board members, superintendent, and members of the community. I'm here to present the 25-26 budget that we are proposing to, that I recommend you adopt. Since I already went over all of this information previously, I'm just going to do a short recap so that we have this information. So I'll just go through the recap really quickly. As previously discussed, we used our May revision COLA numbers in order to plan all of our LCFF factors. This includes the statutory COLA, this includes the grade span adjustments, and it also includes our STRS and PERS and our ADA trending that is trending downward. I've also included one of the updates that I do have is for our 25-26 budget. We did revise our 25-26 budget. So not 26-27, but our 25-26 budget. And so thus, when we did the revision, it reflected in the SACS report. So no changes to 26-27, but just the 25-26 balances. The balances are the same. It's just that the SACS report shows our changes in our escape report. And then for our general revenue for 26-27, no changes. We are still projecting about 91 million overall. For our expenditures, we are still projecting about 98 million. And then for our deficit, we are still looking exactly the same. So about 4.9 million for unrestricted and 2 million for restricted. this is the change that I did want to point out. As you can see in other funds, under Fund 17, I made a little change, but I want to disclose the change. So you will see that in beginning balance, it's 157,000 and change. Originally in the preliminary budget, I had 155. So it's a difference of about $2,000, which is helpful because it goes into our reserve. So $2,000 more for a reserve, yay. So that is the one change that did actually change in our adopted budget that I wanted to disclose. And then for our multi-year, no changes, just a little refresh. What we had discussed is the reductions in unrestricted are in workforce. So 1,000s, 2,000, 3,000s classified and certificated. And then in restricted, it is in contracts and materials and supplies. Again, just highlighting our need to continue to make those reductions in order to continue our financial stability for the upcoming years. I did add no changes for the potential updates. This is still remaining the same. And I did add a little slide for our LCAP and budget connection. And so what I did is I just went through and I tagged all of the LCAP budgets that we have in our 26-27 budget. And then I put them in a chart that showed the goal and action. So it is very apparent that the majority of our budget is in goal 1. You can see that. In fact, as you go further into the goals, I know it looks like there's nothing in some of those goals. They're just really small. They're very small. I'm talking like $5,000 in some of those, which is why I know it looks like it doesn't exist. It does exist. It's just very tiny. And so that is the entirety of the recap. I'm here to just do a quick refresh. And of course, if you have any additional questions.
Adriana, we'll start with our student board member.
No question.
Okay, Rick, do you have any
thank
questions? Okay. Adriana? No question. Martha?
Just to reconfirm, I don't know why I calculated different last time. So 4.9 unrestricted and 2 million are unrestricted on deficit?
Correct.
Okay, so it's a combination of 6 million?
Yes.
Okay.
So combined.
Thought 7,
Round up. Yes. I think we were focusing on unrestricted last time. Probably, yeah.
I think so, because I thought it was 5.
Yeah. In unrestricted.
We like 5 better.
Thank you, Brenda. Sorry. Is that anything further?
No, that was it.
Okay. Angela?
Of course, I have many questions, but since I almost got lynched last board meeting, I'll wait till we have our meeting together.
Okay.
One more question. Do we have a budget meeting on Monday?
We do.
Yes. Okay, so there's a budget meeting available on Monday to
Yes.
really take a deeper dive for anyone that's interested.
Yes, the topic is not on the adopted budget, but of course we can bring that up if we would like. The agenda is a different topic. It's actually specifically foundation.
Specifically what?
A foundation. Oh, developing foundation. Okay. Okay, we're going to open it up for public comment. No? Yes?
Just a quick question. As I was looking through it, I noticed that the unrestricted beginning balance was 8,900,000, but in the escape report, it comes out to 8,073,000. So it's like a difference of 800,000. I was just curious if I was missing something on where that money is, or if I'm miscalculating. You can just.
Do you have any other?
That'd be awesome.
Or is that just, is that your only?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
I just wanted.
Thank you. Brenda, would you mind answering?
Of course.
Be prepared to
I
answer.
addressed this a little bit in the last meeting. SACS pulls from the ending fund balance in our current 25-26 fiscal year, and it pulls it forward into 26-27. And so last time the difference was even larger, and which is why we made some revisions in 25-26 to make it a closer. But there's always a couple of little things that there's adjustments that happen in 25-26 that pull in to the SACS report. So that's the reason for it. When we do unaudited actuals, that number will change again.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Is there any public comment on Zoom? Okay, seeing none, we're gonna close public comment. I invite a motion to approve the 26-27 adopted budget.
I motion to approve the adopted budget.
There's a second?
Second.
Okay. I will open for discussion. We will start with you, Adriana. No, any final discussion or comments? Martha? Adriana? Rick?
Thank you for all your hard work.
Okay, we're gonna move to a vote. We'll start with our preferential vote. How do you vote? Aye, okay. All those in favor?
I,
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Brenda. Okay, we're gonna move on to our last agenda item, which is to approve legal services agreement. Who's gonna be speaking on that? Thanks, Brenda.
This is the Lozano agreement.
It is.
Okay, the Lozano agreement is for legal services for the 26-27 fiscal year. This agreement establishes the rates, and the rates are dependent on the paralegal or the consultant that we're using for services. We utilize these services for expertise on a variety of different areas. So some of those areas include labor, it includes special education. We actually use it quite a bit for special education, student services, evaluations, facilities, compliance. The list goes on. It can be a number of different services depending on what our district is experiencing.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. We're gonna open it up for questions. We'll start with you. No? Okay, Angela, do you have any questions?
No questions.
no questions.
Okay, Adriana? Rick, do you have any questions?
No questions, just comments after.
Okay,
Same.
certainly. I will open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment in the room? No? Okay, is there any public comment on Zoom? No? Okay, we're gonna close public comment and we will move to, oh, actually, I'm gonna invite a motion. So I invite a motion to approve legal services agreement with Lozano. Oh, my goodness, sorry, I lost it. Let me,
Lozano Smith.
thank you, Lozano Smith. I invite a motion to approve.
I motion
What a
to approve.
motion, yeah, okay, a second?
One second.
Okay, we're open it up for discussion and or any final comments, and I will start with you, Adriana.
Okay.
Angela?
Yes, and also, what I meant, I made also an error. I also wanted to pull item 16, agreement with Atkinson's, Ellison, Loya, Rudd, and Romo. It is what it is, but I
Okay.
have a prepared statement regarding Lozano, and
Okay.
it was meant for both of them. So my statement that I prepared, my concern is not whether the district needs legal counsel. We absolutely do. My concern is that before approving this agreement, I would like more clarity around governance, board access to counsel, cost oversight, consultant services, investigations, and when independent counsel may be appropriate. The agreement identifies the North Monterey County Unified School District as our client and provides legal services on an as-needed basis. I understand this type of agreement is standard for legal services. At the same time, I believe it would be helpful for the board to have a clear shared understanding of how legal work is authorized, how the full board may request legal advice, and how individual trustees' questions are handled, and what cost controls are in place as legal matters develop. Per our board bylaw 9124 states that legal counsel may advise both the board and the superintendent. I understand that the superintendent and the board president may serve as a routine points of contact in order so we can control our costs and avoid conflicting direction. So I do support that idea, but I do not believe this is about intentionally preventing trustees from accessing legal services. However, I do believe we need a clear process so all us trustees can understand how legal questions can be raised, how legal advice is shared with the board, and how the board's role is protected when difficult governance issues comes up. There are times when legal advice involves sensitive matters, including board governance, trustee conduct, investigations, or disagreement between trustees and administration. In these situations, I think it's especially important that the process feels balanced, independent, and transparent to the full board. Even the appearance that legal counsel is aligned more closely with one side of governance issues can create concerns about trust and fairness. So before I can support legal services agreement, I would like to see a clear protocol that protects the role of the entire elected board, monitors and controls legal costs, clarifies when separate independent counsel should be used, And this one's important to me, which allows the board, when appropriate, that we can seek second legal opinions on complex or sensitive matters. So I want to be clear. I completely respect the role of legal counsel. Attorneys help us navigate very complex legal issues, and their advice is important to the board. However, legal advice is still an interpretation of the law. It's not the same as a final ruling from a court. If every attorney's interpretation were automatically correct, then there would be absolutely no need for opposing counsel, no need for judges, no need for appeals or courts to resolve disputes. So in many situations, two attorneys can look at the same law and reach different conclusions about what is required, what is allowed, and what level of risk that we should accept. That does not mean that we should ignore legal advice. It just means the board should be able to ask questions and understand the basis for the advice, distinguish between what is legally required, what's legally prohibited, and what carries legal risk, and what remains as a policy decision for the elected board when necessary, and also when necessary, when we can seek second opinion before making a major decision. As a trustee, we have a duty to consider legal risk, but we also have a duty to exercise independent judgment on behalf of the public. So my final statement is the council advises, but the board governs. For those reasons, I would be voting no against this contract.
Thank you, Angela. It sounded like you had some requests for information there, so maybe would you mind forwarding that? Okay, thank you. Martha?
No, I mean, everything that you brought forth, I could see why you've had some concerns, but we can definitely, as a team, a governance team, discuss those, because typically the protocols that we've had in place, what I've seen is us in agreement whenever we need that legal advice. And when we request that legal advice, it's discussed before we request it. And I think that's a fair process that we currently have in place. But I understand you also want to get an option of another advice other than the ones that we're currently using.
If needed.
If needed. But I do agree that that policy that you have in place, you have to have that point of contact. So I don't know if you were requesting other board members to contact legal service.
Also, in my statement, I just want to put it out there. I said I do agree with the 2 points of contact
Okay.
and understand the importance of it.
Okay. That's what I
Is
need
this
to
more
know.
for clarification on my belief of this specific attorney's agency and the concerns I have regarding Lozano Smith?
Okay, so it's a personal concern that you have with Lozano Smith.
It's a professional concern.
Okay. Because this is obviously the first time, right, that we're hearing this.
I brought it up before, like a year and a half ago.
And so with that being said, I know that, if we need to, I have no problem with them. I mean, because of the protocols that I just described in place, that we can always make a sound decision in how we want to move forward with any agency, because we definitely need support, right? And that you agreed on that. But if we need to table it to get your answers, I'm okay with that, but I will be supporting it. So I know that's.
I motion to amend
Your motion to amend it?
and table this because it sounds like there's questions and there's information. Or what are we actually voting? Are we voting on a contract
The
with
contract with them.
We're voting to approve.
Lozano Smith
Yeah.
as our representative and as our attorney?
As
Because
one of
there's,
them.
and there's several questions about, not necessarily, I heard about Lozano, and sorry for interrupting, Martha, but not necessarily about Lozano Smith, but questions about our process and procedures when accessing any counsel, because it's not just going to be issues with Lozano Smith and any counsel that we have. It sounds like we need clarity on what the access to counsel is based on board. So I move to amend the motion that's on the table to table this
I
for
second.
future board meeting.
Second.
Okay.
So the parliamentary procedure here, by the way, is that you would vote on the amended motion first. If the amended motion passes, then that passes. If the amended motion fails, then it comes back to the original motion.
Okay, so the amended motion is to table.
The original motion was
To
to
approve.
approve the item. The amended
Is to
was
table it.
to table the item.
Okay, let's,
So the current one on the table is the tabling.
okay, let's go ahead and do roll call. Rick,
Aye.
Adriana. Aye. Martha,
I agree.
okay. Angela,
Aye.
okay, I'm a nay, and motion carries, so the item is tabled. Okay, we're gonna move on to our next item, which is board requests for information and or possible agenda items, and we're gonna start with Angela.
No request right now?
Okay, Martha,
No.
Adriana,
No.
Rick,
I have some, one information that, the North County Parks and Rec and Park District, approved to, go out and look for and hire a dedicated grant writer. And that's it. And their budget is 400 times, smaller than ours. So I think we should retouch it again and talk about it because I don't see a reason. Well, anyways, that's my request. So
okay. Your request is to
to,
find out more information about a potential.
yeah, I
grant.
mean, yeah, our district got it. Their budget is super tiny.
Okay, is there anything else?
That's it.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
motion to adjourn. I invite a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Do we- All those in favor? Aye, okay, this meeting is adjourned at 7:55 PM.